everybody, welcome back to Swift Lessons for another lead guitar tutorial. In today's session, I'm breaking down another classic guitar solo. We're going to be learning George Harrison's beautifully melodic licks from the Beatles' Something. Now we're going to get started learning some prerequisite scales, then I'm going to break it down for you lick by lick. You can follow along using my bonus resources at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Support the channel there and gain access to a ton of extra resources for all my popular YouTube guitar lessons. Now, let's get started. Okay, a close look at the fretboard, getting started with section 1 of this lesson. Establishing some major pentatonic scale positions in the key of C. That way you can really tell what's going on in this solo. So the first position of this scale that I want you to know is in the A position, key of C. Okay, this scale looks and sounds like this. And remember that little trick? You can always recognize a major pentatonic scale if you think of the song My Girl. The main riff from that tune is just the major pentatonic scale set to a rhythm. Okay, so we have 3rd fret, A string, going up to 5. The D string, 2 going up to 5. Same thing on the G string. The B string, 3 going up to 5. The G string, same thing. And then you can find the next octave, 8th fret, high E string. Okay, so that's one position of the C major pentatonic scale. My Girl style. All right. Now, the next position that I want you to study for this scale is in its G position. This is a C major chord played as a G shape. Overlapping that shape, we have. Okay, so that was 8th fret low E, the A string 5 up to 7, same thing on the D, same thing on the G, the B string 5 up to 8, and the same thing on the high E string. Played with that My Girl riff. Alright, then one last position that I want you to study today is going to be the C major pentatonic scale played in its E shape position. Looks and sounds like this. Okay, so 8th fret of the low E string going up to 10. Then the A string, 7 going up to 10. Same thing on the D string. The G string, 7 up to 9. The B string, 8 to 10. And then the same thing on the high E string. Okay, put that together and we got... Okay, apart from a few twists and turns that are very interesting, that is the majority of the notes that George is going to be playing in this solo. Let's review. The A position of the C major pentatonic scale. Alright, the G position. And the E position. Okay, if you have those positions mastered, then you're ready to move on to learning the solo. Okay, very good everybody. You have those major pentatonic scales down, and now you're ready to jump into learning this solo. We're going to be taking it lick by lick. Getting started with lick number 1, it's going to look and sound like this. Okay, that's being played over top of a C major chord. I'm eyeing up that C major pentatonic scale in E position and playing 7th fret G string, hammering up to the 9th fret, then going to the 8th fret B, and then back to the 9th fret G. Letting that last note ring out with a little bit of vibrato. Alright, the next lick is going to be a response to that. Looks and sounds like this. Alright, so that started with the 7th fret as well, hammering up to 9 just like before. Then, we're going to take our middle finger, put it on the 8th fret of the B string, and you might want to back it up with your index finger for extra strength. Bend that up. Alright, you're going to lift it and kill it. And then you're going to bend again, but return. before going back to the 9th fret of the G string. You put those two licks together and we have. Alright, now the next lick is going to transition us between C dominant 7 and F major. Looks and sounds like this. Okay, so 7th fret of the G string, hammering up to 9. Then 8, hammering up to 10 on the B string. Back to 8. And then a quick slide. We're going to go from the 10th fret B string up to the 13th fret of the B string. And we're going to make that nice and short. So, alright, next, the high E string, 8th fret, twice. Before back bending, we're going to lift the 10th fret high E string up and just let that note fall. So far you have with this lick. Alright, next we're going to lift that 10th fret high E string up again and return before going to the 8th fret high E. And then resolve to the 10th fret of the B string and let it ring. Okay, put all that together and we have. Okay, now let's put licks 1, 2, and 3 together. It should sound like this. The C major chord comes in to the C major 7, to C dominant 7, F major now. The next lick is going to walk us to the D major chord. Looks and sounds like this. Okay, so I slid up to the 10th fret of the B string. Then I'm going to play 8-8 on the high E with a slide away. Alright, I'm going to do the same exact thing. This time going to the 9th fret G to the 8th fret B. Okay, put that together and we have. Alright, then finally, to get us into the next lick, we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay, so far you have. Okay, now with the D major chord in mind, perhaps George is picturing it in its A-shaped position. He's going to play. Okay, so I slid from the 4th fret of the G string down to 2, and then slid up to the 7th fret of the G string, before going 7-7 on the B. So far you have in this lick, if you include that 2nd fret of the G string. Alright, now I'm going to the 10th fret B string for a bend. And then I'm going to play 2 bends in a row with returns. Okay, so. And then go to the 8th fret of the B string and let it ring. Okay, so that full lick. Alright. So far in this solo, we've played over top of the chords C major, C major 7, C dominant 7, and F major, and walk down. Then D major, D dominant 7, and then G major. Now, over top of this G major chord in the progression, we can hear this cool little walk up. That transitions us into the A minor chord. And over top of that walk up, George is going to get a little bluesy with it. He's going to play. And when I first heard this lick, I really couldn't figure out how it works. It's such a cool, very unique, interesting lick. And I finally figured it out. George is abandoning the C major pentatonic scale, and instead, over the G, he's picturing the G minor blues scale. So, okay, so he's on the 8th fret of the B string. That's where we just ended that last lick. Now he's going to play the 9th fret high E, bring it down a half step to the 8th fret, and then slide back one full step. You can also double stop these two notes together, so just ever so slightly, which is something I hear on the original track when I slow it down. Okay, now we're going to slide up to the 12th fret high E string, and then go chromatic, 11, down to 10. Okay, you put that full lick together and it sounds like this, coming out of the previous lick so you know how to connect it. Alright, so. Okay, up next in the progression, we have this very interesting set of chords. A minor major 7, A minor 7, to the D major chord. And then of course we had that very recognizable hook. Okay, that F major, to E flat, to G, to C. Alright, and that will conclude our solo. Okay, so over those chord changes, we're going to play these wacky little licks. They're going to sound like this. Okay, so over that A minor chord, I'm playing. Very, very simple. We're just grabbing the 7th fret of the G string, bending it up and releasing 3 times before pulling off down to the 5th fret of the same string. So. Alright, now moving on to the lick over the chord A minor major 7. It's going to be the exact same thing, but we're going to bend and release 1 extra time. So 4 times in a row. Alright, now moving to the A minor 7. We're going to play a similar lick, but it's going to be a little bit longer. Looks and sounds like this. Real slow. Okay, so we bent and released that 7th fret G string twice. Pull it off down to 5. Then slid up to 9 before going to the 8th fret B string. Then we're grabbing the 10th fret high E string, bending it up a full step. Returning back down to 10. Then hammering 8 to 10. Back down to 8. And then to the 10th fret of the B string to complete that lick. So. Alright, that's going to set us up for the final lick, a very powerful resolution back to C major. Alright, you'll recognize this one. So we're bending that 12th fret of the B string just up a half step and letting it fall. So we're not plucking yet, we're just going to lift it, then go down to 10. Alright, so. And then walk chromatically. Alright, vibratoing on that C note to end the solo. Okay, now let's play through the entire solo, make sure you got it lick for lick. Okay, so the C major chord comes in. A 1, 2, 3, 4, and C. C major 7. C dominant 7. F major, D, D7, G7, A minor. Okay, back to C major for the resolve. Congratulations everybody, if you can play through each of those licks, then you're ready to perform. Alright friends, thanks so much for checking out this lead guitar tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and let me know what solo I should break down next. Big thanks to my supporters at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Hope you're enjoying all those extra resources, and thanks to you guys, I got many more lessons coming up, so keep checking in, please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.